Elliot Carter's Elegy, performed by the Arditti Quartet. Mr. Arditti, Mr. Irvine Arditti. I've been saying that wrong all day. Forgive me. Welcome to Classic 107 and welcome to Winnipeg.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Well, we're so pleased to have you here for the Winnipeg New Music Festival. I'm sure that the orchestra is also tickled. Have you yet had a rehearsal?
Yeah, we've virtually just come from our first rehearsal.
Amazing.
The orchestra are wonderful, by the way.
They're great people, hey?
Well, I haven't got to know them all personally yet. It was quite a short rehearsal, just about an hour. Okay. But they certainly played very well, and they got down to doing it amazingly. And we've done this piece with quite a few different orchestras now. And I'm afraid, so far, Winnipeg was the best. Well,
I mean, you shouldn't be afraid. That should be something that us Winnipeggers should be proud of. And let's talk about what that is.
I'm afraid for the others.
Oh. Well, that's fair enough. We do have a good concentration of musicians here in Winnipeg. So let's talk about why the Arditti Quartet is here.
Because they invited us.
Well, and we're so glad. We're so glad. And the piece that you guys were rehearsing with the orchestra earlier today is for tomorrow's concert at Centennial, starting at... it looks like it starts at... Oh, I'm looking.
I wish I could help you out of your misery. But it's either 7:30 or 8.
It starts at 8 p.m. There we go. Okay, yeah. So Arditti with the WSO playing Wolfgang Riem's, say this for me, Dithyramb?
Dithyramb, yeah.
Dithyramb for string quartet and orchestra, and it is a Canadian premiere even yet.
Yes.
That's very exciting.
In fact, it's the first time we've ever played a piece with orchestra in Canada.
Really?
Yep. We're European animals.
Well, you know. Well, we're so pleased that you've come across the pond for us.
It's a big pond.
It is a big pond.
Yes.
And then you're also here on Sunday. You're doing, the quartet is doing an insular concert, just you guys, the four of you.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about what you're playing on that.
Very diverse pieces, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We start with a piece by John Zorn.
Mm-hmm. New York legend.
Well, he's someone I only came across quite relatively recently.
Oh, really?
Let's say about 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. We had played some of his earlier quartets 10 or 12 years ago, but I never met him on that occasion. But I met him recently, and we got on very well. He's completely mad. Well,
I mean, if you listen to his combo stuff, his just improv insanity.
Yeah, but we heard him play saxophone, and he's amazing in that stuff. Yeah. I really enjoyed listening to him play. But I say he's mad. I think we're a bit mad too. So
you have to be.
That's why we got on quite well. And he was real fun.
Yeah.
And I persuaded him to write a piece for soprano and string quartet, which we did last year. Fantastic. I'll have to look that up. Called Pandora's Box. And it's actually already released on CD, on 2 CDs. There's 2 versions of it. One on Zorn Sadik label, and another one on a label Coligno from a concert we did in 2013 in Vienna.
Wow.
So it's nice to have that piece out. And so it's a crazy piece. It's a very difficult piece. It's probably his most complicated music for string quartet. There are quite a few string quartets now. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it would be good to do that here. Yeah, it's a good way to start the program. Yeah. Very big splash, really intense. We only played it once before, so it was nice to do it again soon. Soon. And then you're also doing some Schnittke? Yeah, the Schnittke Third Quartet, a request of the festival. It's a nice piece. Okay. I mean, I knew Schnittke. We rehearsed with him. We played with him. That's beautiful. And so it makes the program quite varied to go from Zorn to Schnittke. I mean, quite a huge contrast. I like that. I think that's nice. There's more kind of progression in the second half, going from Tenny to Haas, because there are many things that are similar or the same. I think Tenny studied Haas studied with Tenny. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, but not entirely sure, but I know Haas is very fond of Tenny's music, and so it seems a more logical continuation. The second half, going from Tenny to Haas.
Well, and tell us, because you were alluding to the fact that you work with so many composers and you meet them and you talk to them, and this is something that is so brilliant about the Arditti Quartet, I think, is that you seek out the new and the fresh and the different and what is challenging and evolutionary and revolutionary in music, and that for kids like me who are so interested in how things change over time. I mean, how has that experience been with you? Do you have a favorite composer that you've worked with?
No, I never answer that question.
I know. I don't want to make you play favorites.
I've been asked that question hundreds or thousands of times. Who is my favorite composer? I can't answer that question. I don't want to. Yeah. But then, even if I did want to, I can't, because I have many favorites. And I always say I can't tell you which one's the favorite. All the others will get upset.
Well, okay, so should we talk about the dead ones, maybe? Okay, so if we don't talk about the alive ones. Who's your favorite dead composer? Not before the 20th century. Let's talk old school.
Is there anything before the 20th century? What happened there?
Our listeners, our listeners are big fans of pre-20th century music as well. And for a lot of us as musicians, we come from places, we start somewhere, and having those people to go back to. Do you have a composer to go back to? That just
not really as such. I mean, I admire great things, and I'm not only talking about string quartets. I was concertmaster of the London Symphony Orchestra when I first started my career, so I had an experience of playing orchestral music too, with very fine conductors and soloists around me. But if we look at string quartets, I suppose one can look at Schubert, late Beethoven, I find very interesting. And then coming into the beginning of the 20th century, Bartók,
absolutely,
Schoenberg, Second Viennese School, Berg, also, Eben. And then coming to the latter part of the 20th century. And for me, that is important to have these fantastic late Beethoven quartets, say, for composers of today to think about when they're writing their string quartet. And in fact, it's not an original idea. I think the La Salle Quartet did it too, but in a different way, to include Beethoven's Grosse Fuge in concerts. But most quartets end with the Grosse Fuge. Because it's a very outward-going piece. It's extreme, very extreme for Beethoven. Probably the most extreme piece he ever wrote, harmonically. But for us, we start with Beethoven. We start with the Grosse Fuge. And, let's take it from here. And in fact, one composer loved this idea. It was Conlon Nancarrow, who I met towards the end of his life, and he wrote us his third quartet. He was fascinated by this, and we wanted to make a CD of his piece, and we were going to record the Beethoven on it. And he said, I want to come after Beethoven. So this was great. Because,
awesome.
Yeah, and he loved that whole idea of following the Grosse Fuge. And it's a difficult piece to follow.
It certainly is.
But, it's a bit unfair because there are so many different styles and ways of thinking about writing today, and not only today, but for the last 50 or 60 years. So to expect people to do something like the Grosse Fuge is a bit of a challenge, and also a little bit of a put down, I think, because something completely different to the Grosse Fuge is also extremely valid for us to play. It doesn't have to be like that, but it's an interesting challenge for people. It says something about where I want music to come from. I like the idea of composers having an idea of form and structure when they're thinking about music. I'm more towards the kind of, shall we say, serious composers. Yeah. I mean, maybe even complex composers.
Yes.
People said the Arditti Quartet plays music that other people can't play, and I say can't play and perhaps don't want to play.
That, I think, is the bane of a lot of contemporary musicians and people that put themselves in that place. It's a difficult situation to be in when ears aren't ready for what you have to offer.
Ears.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Sort of.
Ears can be trained.
They can.
The most important thing is that ears are open. Ears have this strange way of closing even when they're open and turning off. In fact, a lot of people that are more interested in what we do are people that come from non-classical music backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that there are not a lot of classical people who are very interested in the sort of repertoire we play. But there are also a lot of people who come from Zorn's world, other worlds
mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Call it crossover or whatever you like. But then they get into listening. There is a more open to listen to what we're doing mm-hmm. than, say, somebody who's been going to the orchestral subscription concerts for the last 20 or 30 years.
Right.
But
do you think that's the fault of orchestras, or do you think that's the fault of the just media culture that we are living in right now?
Oh yes, it is, and even the orchestras are a luxury because the tendency is to go away from that. Mm-hmm. Certainly on this continent, it has to pay. Mm-hmm. It has to pay for itself, and as a very famous composer once told me, great art is not appreciated by the masses. Mm. It's when we did some big concerts with this composer, and then we went to Italy and did some concerts where there wasn't much audience. Mm. And the composer was Judge Ligeti. But he was well aware of what the situation was, and this was 25 years ago, I think, maybe more. And I think it's even more true today.
Wow.
The great culture is expected to... Culture is music, it's entertainment, but it's not mm-hmm. entertainment, it's stimulation, it's culture, mm-hmm. it's everything. Mm-hmm. And it's important that it's preserved.
True.
It shouldn't have to pay for itself. And I think that's much more difficult on this continent than it is where I'm living and working most of the time in Europe.
Well, I mean, I would like to say, I'd venture to say that Winnipeg is a bit of an anomaly. The fact that we have this festival and that we have such a wonderful group of musical professionals and of people that are supportive of new and exciting projects and are less afraid. I would like to say that about Winnipeg. We are a receptive audience, and I think that this New Music Festival is something, and the continued support of this New Music Festival is something that Winnipeggers can be super proud of, and I think it's also something that is so encouraging because we can get people like you here and this amazing quartet that just had its 40th anniversary. You're in your 40th anniversary season, is that right? Or is this your 41st season officially?
I think this is the 41st.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. This has been incredible. It's been an incredible journey, I'm sure.
Oh, it has.
Wow.
And kind of unwittingly it went. It just was not planned.
Unreal.
Just happened.
Let's talk really briefly about the new CD that's coming out as well. Music of Your Wife with your quartet, sung by your beautiful son, who is a countertenor. So you have this incredibly musical family.
You've seen pictures of my son, have you?
As I was doing my research. Yeah, of course. I mean, and I've seen pictures of your beautiful wife as well.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. So it's just me that's not beautiful.
Well, I was told not to gush.
Oh, you can gush a little.
Oh no, it's such a pleasure to have you here, and it's so amazing that you have such a rich musical experience to share, and especially here with us in the middle of the prairies in Canada.
And it's so nice that there is this interest here, mm-hmm. and I haven't really been made aware of it yet. Mm-hmm. Because we've never been here before.
Well, you'll see the audiences tomorrow and Sunday.
But I've certainly been made aware this morning by the quality of the orchestra. And our conductor is great. He knows precisely what he's doing, and he knows how to rehearse quickly, efficiently.
I'm so glad.
Very musically. So it's looking good so far.
Well, you heard it from Irvine Arditti himself. He says that our orchestra is amazing and our conductor's pretty great, and they're playing musically and they're having a good time collaborating. And I cannot wait for tomorrow night for the Ream and for your guys' the Arditti's ensemble concert. Just you guys. I will be there with bells on. Well, I'll take the bells off before I go into the concert hall.
Please.
Amazing. Deemed an extreme violinist by The Telegraph, The Guardian calls him a maverick musical genius. Irvine Arditti. We're going to play another selection before we say goodbye. This is with Bernard Haitink. This is from Schoenberg. Or wait, was it with Haitink? No.
Can't be.
Schoenberg Quartet. Did you guys do a recording of the Schoenberg String Quartet in D major?
Yes.
Why does it say that it's Bernard Haitink? Oh, is it from an album called Vienne 1900?
Could be.
Maybe. Okay.
You expect me to remember everything I've done?
I know. How many? Wait, tell us how many albums you guys have appeared on?
More than 200.
And how many commissioned works have you had written for you?
Hundreds. I don't remember. I never counted.
Unreal. Living legend. Amazing. My cheeks hurt from smiling right now, folks. Okay, so New Music Festival, the Arditti Quartet, appearing tomorrow, January 31st, 8 o'clock, with the WSO, playing some Wolfgang Riem. Then on Sunday, Dissonant Fictions, their recital is going to be a whirlwind, I'm sure. Okay, let's listen to some Schoenberg. And yeah, thank you so much for coming.
You're very welcome.
It's been such a pleasure.